Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Shikha, and in this video I'll talk about another important topic, which is new criticism. So what is this new criticism and where it came from? The term new criticism derives its name from a book by John Crow Ransom. The book was published in 1941 and the name of the book was The New Criticism. So in that book, John Crow Ransom says when you attempt to read a text, or when you read a text, you just need to know whatever is there in the text. You don't need to go beyond the text, right? You don't need to know anything about author's intention, like why he has written that text, or which caste he belongs to, which class he belongs to. So you don't need to know anything about all the historical background and his intention behind writing the text. So they say that the text is itself of an autonomous nature. You don't need to know any extraneous affairs related to that text. Okay, so whatever is there in that text, whether it is a language or a form of the text, that is more important rather than all the historical or biographical background of the author who has written that text. Okay, the foundation of new criticism was laid in essays and books written by I.A. Richards and William Emerson's in 1920s and 1930s. The approach of this new criticism significantly developed later by American poets, a group of American poets which includes Robert Penn Warren, Clarence Brook, Wimsatt and Beardsley, R.P. Blackmore, and all these American poets, which significantly developed this approach of new criticism to another level. Okay, and together they formed this school. Like, it was not a proper school, but together they formed this movement of new criticism. Similar to new criticism, a movement developed in all other European countries like Russia and France. They call it formalism or Russian formalism, that you know. Okay, they too believe in the same theory that you don't need to have any prior knowledge before reading a text. Okay, I'll come to the formalism or Russian formalism in all other of my videos. Okay, let's focus on new criticism only. So while coming back to the foundation where it laid by I.A. Richards. The foundation, I told you, it was laid by I.A. Richards in 1920s. Okay, he used to call it practical criticism. Even he has a book named Practical Criticism, in which he talks about his experiment which he did with his students. Okay, in the experiment, what he did, he gave a piece of literature to his student, perhaps a poem. Okay, he gave that poem to his students, and without informing them about the author or the poet of the book. Okay, so without giving any information of the poem, he just gave the poem to his students and asked them to write their own interpretation about the poem. Okay, so what they did, they had all the genuine interpretation behind the book, because his idea was like, if you give someone prior knowledge regarding the text or the poem, your interpretation would be very biased. Like, if I give you a poem, if I give you any poem and I tell you that this poem is written by William Wordsworth, so what would be your interpretation? You would develop a basic idea behind the poem. Okay, you would associate that poem first with the romanticism and all the ideas of romanticism. Okay, and you would think that this poem must be written around that time of William Wordsworth, and it might be associated with all the nature and all those things that William Wordsworth used to write. Okay, so your interpretation would be very biased. So this is the thing which was rejected by the school of new criticism. So let's now talk about three key terms associated with the school of new criticism. The first one is intentional fallacy. So what is this intentional fallacy? Intentional fallacy is a term given by Wimsatt and Beardsley in their essay, The Intentional Fallacy. They say that there is a kind of mistake that people usually do by deriving meaning of the text in terms of author's intention. They say that if a critique interprets the text in terms of author's intention. It is a kind of subjective interpretation, but Wimsatt and Beardsley advocate in the objectivity of the text. They say that interpretation should be objective and it should be textual. Okay, they say that all the text are itself an autotelic text. So autotelic is a term they proposed in this work, the intentional fallacy. They say that all the text are autotelic text. It means that you don't need to go beyond the text. Text itself contains its meaning. Okay, this is what it means by autotelic text. So original text says intentional fallacy is a confusion between the poem and its origins. It begins by trying to derive the standard of criticism from the psychological causes of the poem and ends in biography and relativism. So this is what was intentional fallacy proposed by Wimsatt and Beardsley. Let's come to affective fallacy. Before coming to affective fallacy, I need to tell you that there is a little difference between these three terms that I'm going to explain, and you need to listen to me very carefully or else you won't be able to understand the difference between these terms. Okay, so what is affective fallacy? Affective fallacy is also the term proposed by Wimsatt and Beardsley in their essays, and they say that affective fallacy is when you try to judge an emotional effect, okay, emotional effect of the text on its readers. Okay, this is something that takes place on the part of an author or a writer. Okay, per se, for example, like if I love reading Gothic novels, okay, and I get that feeling of an awe or a horror out of those Gothic novels. If in future I attempt to write something, I would definitely go for Gothic genre. Okay, so is it possible or is it definite that I would be able to give the same kind of feeling to my readers as I got from my author? No, it's not necessary. Okay, if I believe that, oh no, I got this feeling and I would be able to convey the same feeling to my readers, so it would be a kind of fallacy on my part. Okay, and it is also a hurdle that comes while evaluating a text. Okay, let's take another example, like if you don't love reading historical novels or romantic novels, okay, if your teacher asks you to write a one page interpretation out of that historical novel or a romantic novel, okay, would you be able to give your 100% while reading that novel? No. Okay, it would be just a formality on your part. Okay, you are not getting that emotional effect out of that text, what the author or the writer wanted to convey while writing that novel. Okay, because he wrote something having an intention that I would convey this emotional effect to my reader, but you are not getting that emotional effect that he wanted to convey. Okay, so it is a kind of fallacy. So on that part, Wimsatt and Beardsley says that all the texts are independent. Okay, it neither depend on a writer nor it depends on an author. Okay, all the texts are an autotelic text. This is what they say. They do not need any other interpretation out of these texts. Okay, they all the text, all the language and all the tone and all the figure of speeches that an author or a writer is using, this is what is important while reading a text. Okay, you don't need to know anything behind it. Okay, so this is what was affective fallacy. So let's now come to the third term, which is heresy of paraphrase. The heresy of paraphrase is a term given by Kenneth Brooks in his work The Well-Wrought Urn. The heresy of paraphrase means it occurs when a reader or a critic interprets a text to mean something other than what the author or a writer wants to say. Okay, like if I am in a mood of something, I would definitely create my own meaning out of the text according to my mood or according to my tastes, not what the writer wants me to get. Okay, so this is what the heresy of paraphrase is, if I intend to paraphrase the text, I will paraphrase it according to my mood. So this is again a kind of a fallacy which Kenneth Brooks talk about. Okay, it is a kind of error of judgment which takes place on the part of a reader. Okay, so that's it for this video. Let's meet in the next one. I'll come up with another important lecture. I'll come up with another important topic. So stay tuned till then. Bye bye. Take care.